So Jane and Dave, take me through your journey at Mural Arts Philly and some iconic Philly sports and Philadelphia-centric murals throughout the city and how they came about.
I started getting really interested in doing public art because every time one of my art critics came into my studio, one of my teachers came in, they would say, "Oh, your work is so big and it has such like, you're like a storyteller. You should be a mural painter. You should meet Jane Golding." And then I signed up for a summer class that Jane was teaching at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. And so my first experience was painting a mural in Norris Square with Jane and her our academy class. And then from there, not too long after that, Jane said, "Oh, I got a call from some people who want to do a Jackie Robinson mural. Do you know anybody who'd want to do that?" And I said, "Sure, I would love to do that." And I showed her all my baseball paintings that I was working in the studio, and then that was sort of my first sort of big solo commission. I had done some smaller rec center sites with kids. That was my first really big solo commission.
That was amazing. The Phillies and Coca-Cola called us and they said, "We would like you to do a Jackie Robinson mural." I'm like such a fan of Jackie Robinson. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is so great." And then when I told you, you were like so excited. And then we found this great wall on North Broad Street. And when we knocked on the door, I remember Miss Marilyn Porter, remember?
Yeah.
She answered the door and we were like, "Would you like a Jackie Robinson mural?" And she started to cry. She goes, "Oh my God, yes."
She was this woman who really kind of was a community. She was like the community point person in that area, right on North Broad, right around Somerset. And she like ran little programs out of her house. She like fed the kids lunch in the summer whose parents were working on her back porch. And then there was a lot next to the mural where some houses had got knocked down, and she had arranged like this whole like African market with like, people who were into like the art form and fashion and stuff like that could come and sort of sell their wares and have a nice spot visible right on Broad Street to do it.
And she said, "Every day I come out of my house and I see Jackie is a day I know my potential." It was just so inspiring. We just like fell in love with her. She fell in love with us. And Jackie Robinson's wife came to the dedication and there were like 500 kids. It was hugely exciting. And it's become like a beacon and a landmark and a continual source of pride and inspiration. And we love it to this day.
Yeah, and I just restored it in like 2018 or 17. Yeah, right before not too long before the pandemic. So it's all freshly painted and restored. It had been, as any 20-year-old mural or 20-plus-year-old mural happen, it starts fading a little bit. But because we have a restoration program, we get to go out and refresh and renew the murals that are really beloved by neighborhoods. And in fact, they let us know when they see a mural that needs, if it needs some love and care, and they want to make sure that it's, So for instance, when the Herman Rice mural that I did in West Philly was a tribute to a super beloved community hero. And when a developer came and developed the lot in front of it and built and blocked that mural, the community called and really wanted a new version of the Herman Rice mural. Of course, we obliged, and when we went to the first community meeting, I was like, "Well, this gives us an opportunity to maybe design something new and fresh." They're like, "No, we want that one. That's the one we know, that's the one we love, that's Herman for us." And so it kind of was a testament to the fact that we must have done something right the first time, connecting with the community and connecting with the family and getting that image and that tribute right, because people felt so connected they did not want to change.
When you first painted the mural, people came up and touched the wall. I remember you telling me that because they were just so, Herman Rice meant so much to them. But we want people to know that we really take the collection very seriously. Like if I ran the Philadelphia Museum of Art, I would be responsible for the collection. And here we are, we are overseeing this collection of public art in the city. Philly is an outdoor museum, and so we really assume responsibility for it. And so it's good we have a restoration program. In our anniversary year, we're going to try to grow it because the murals are civic assets, and they really are co-owned. It's not just mural arts. In some ways, they really belong to the citizens of the city.
Is there a particular project, past or present, that you're inspired or invigorated by that you can share a little bit about with us?
I could say that actually this isn't one of my murals. Like I of course, I do a lot of murals for Mural Arts, but I'm also inspired by some of my colleagues and their murals, and in particular, this major project for environmental justice happened, and the murals happens to be my wife. So I had a hand in helping with some of the logistics of it, but I think she and a whole team of collaborators did a really amazing job of like addressing an issue that is really urgent today in our society around climate change and climate justice. And they had really a deep dive in the community process of like really having lots of meetings with activists and indigenous people and people who really knew, had a lot of information about climate change and what was happening, plus people who were really affected by climate change and what's happening, all came together and they came up with lots and lots of ideas, and they formed different circles, like a trash circle and an air circle and a water circle, talking about how water and clean water is important, and how the trash problem. Out of that grew all this imagery that Yuri was able to weave into, with some other collaborators, was able to weave into a really amazing, and it's a huge mural, but it's a very timely mural. And so it feels like one of the powerful things Mural does is it can memorialize certain figures and people we want to memorialize, like Herman Rice, but it can also bring issues that are really important to the forefront of people's mind and educate, especially young people who see this. There's a whole, the mural comes with a whole series of infographics at the bottom that really sort of illustrate what the mural is trying to say and what all the issues are.
I think that murals are the quintessential multitasker because sometimes they're connected to our programmatic work. So they're about education, inspiration. Sometimes, like David just described, a mural that is really about building awareness and advocacy and having us realize that we're stewards of this planet and what do we want. And sometimes it's about beauty and transformation. I think as I'm here with the wonderful David McShane, I'm thinking about all the schools that he has done over the years with the Philadelphia Eagles. That are major transformations where, schools that really look almost prison-like are transformed into something really wonderful and inspiring. And the work is made from the images created by the kids. So they are indeed the co-owners and co-authors of this work. And then the Eagles come out and we put down AstroTurf, and there's a playground, and there are indoor murals and classes, and it's just this wonderful experience. And we really believe that every child should have access to art education, and that every school and every recreation center, wherever kids go, it should be beautiful, uplifting, and inspiring. And so we're on a mission to make sure that happens. And working with the Eagles and through the artistry of Dave McShane, that does happen, and that matters.
Why do you consider art to be such a powerful tool?
Well, I think Jane was touching on that because I think why art could be a powerful tool is because in the example of like when I work at a school with young kids, I think that in order for you to think about what your future is like, you have to be able to visualize a better world before you can make that better world happen. And I think art is and artists play that essential role in helping particularly young people, but all people really, visualize what the change needs to be so that they can then move towards making that change. And when one of the exciting things about the project I do at the school every year with the Eagles is that the young kids, the theme of the mural is generally like things like soaring towards our future, etc. And I always have kids imagine themselves how they want to change the world, and then draw a picture of themselves doing that thing. And then I also have them draw pictures of themselves like flying towards their dream. And they could be literally flying, they could be flying on the back of a bird, or they could be like Superman with a cape, whatever. And all those little drawings I incorporate into the actual mural, so that in a way it's like they get to be part of the legacy of the mural, because 20 years from now, when they have kids, they can go back to their school and say, I was a student here, And that was the drawing I made, and now it's in the mural, and I can show my kids that, and then sort of that continues that legacy, and they can still sort of instill that, like, flying towards your dreams, you know, having big hopes for your future into their children, because they got a chance to do that when they were young.
Yeah, and I think when people think about mural arts, if they're thinking about the art, we think that's wonderful. But they shouldn't stop there. They should pretend that it's a wall and they go like this. And then beyond it, there's this feast of so many things. I think in our programs like Porch Light or Restorative Justice or Art Ed, it's really like what David said, it's about uncovering potential, because sometimes our constituents, our young people, have not had the opportunities to really see the genius and talent that resides within themselves, and we want to try to facilitate that happening. For people in our Porch Light program, and there we're working with some of the city's more vulnerable people, I would say, how do we build resilience? Well, part of that is getting to recognize your potential, so you feel that you can withstand the, you know, all the turmoil that's around you. It also helps people from being alienated, alone, isolated. Art connects us to others. It connects us to the larger world. I mean, art really, if you look at the murals around the city or our programs, it shines a light on what makes us different, our distinctions, and underscores our commonality in many ways. And that is very unusual. So I think that art, it taps into our imagination. It transports us. Sometimes it makes us see things we thought we knew in a totally different way. So it's very educational. Someone once said to me, Jane Golden, this program is deceptively complex. And I thought, that's right, it is. Because on one hand, it is about art, and on the other hand, it's about all these other things that are really about lifting our hearts and souls and spirits as a city.
Going into Mural Arts Philly's 40th year, and when you hear Roots and Reimagination, what does it mean to you, and what do you hope to accomplish in the years to come?
I think it makes me sort of think back to those years when I worked for the Anti-Graffiti Network, and I'm always thankful to Wilson Good and Tim Spencer for giving me that opportunity. And I think that those early years were really critical, because that's where we learned about working with communities, about how you don't make assumptions, you go in with far more questions, you go into a community with the utmost respect. This isn't your home, it's someone else's. You know, just ask questions, learn, be respectful. And I think that when we became Mural Arts, we held on to those values. So they were really formative years about the power of art on individuals, the graffiti writers. I learned a lot from the graffiti writers, and I learned a lot from the block captains and the community leaders. They treated me just like family, and I'm in touch with some of them to this day. I mean, they've had such an influence on my life personally and the life of Mural Arts. So when we became Mural Arts, it was like a pro-art program. We're not anti-anything anymore. That was fabulous. So we opened our doors to all kids and started working with emerging and established artists, and in some way we never look back. But the early years informed us. And then I think that as we've gone through all these years, we've continued to be facile, open, creative, not afraid of risk, not afraid to course correct or reevaluate. If we fail, we try to fail forward, and really have an openness about the world and what's going on, and try to be as responsive and respectful, again, that word, as possible. And so I see this is fertile ground for a reimagination, always. Like, it's not reinventing ourselves, and it's not mission drift. It's being open to community-based public art and all the richness that brings.
I think about the idea of roots as like this sort of inner search for like who you are at your core, you know, at the roots of who you are. And that's why I like to put mandalas in a lot of my murals. And in fact, the thing that Jane's painting right now is a mandala. It's a sunflower, but the sunflowers are, in a sense, a mandala. It's a circular, radial, symmetrical thing. And a lot of cultures use the mandala, where they have that mandala featured, because it both is like about concentrating on both the inward journey of our deep, discovering who we are as our deep core, but also the outward journey of how we connect with our, you know, community, our world, our universe. And I think in a way that's a lot of what happens for a lot of artists at Mural Arts. They tap into who they are at their core and realize they want to be connected. They want their art to be connected. And what better way than to go into a community, talk to a group of people that have energy and vision and lots of ideas, and then use their talents to give those ideas an actual physical form, and then put that on a wall that people can connect with and feel like they have a voice, and it truly is a collaboration, and so the art becomes this community project in its truest form, and that's again goes back to the power. And so when you go into that creative thing, you do get the chance to reimagine who you are as an artist, because each community you work with is different, and then the community gets to reimagine who they are they might not have ever voiced, well, what does represent us? What does make the perfect picture of who we are? Then they discover each other, and they're all both reimagining and rediscovering their own themselves and their community. So that's to me why I think that's such a brilliant thing about reimagining, the roots in reimagining.
Even the word imagination is powerful, because one part of Mural Arts that sometimes isn't talked about a lot is that we hire hundreds of artists every year. So it's very unusual to have an organization where an artist could have an idea, come to us, and it could possibly happen. And I don't think that occurs in a lot of cities. Also, we pay artists, we try to support them, we have additional workshops, we try to build capacity, we've created pathways for BIPOC artists, young artists, artists who are seniors, like really just understanding that there are a lot of people out there who haven't had the opportunity to work in public space, and we want that door to be open.
Why is it important for people to support Mural Arts Philadelphia this Giving Tuesday, and who/what do these dollars raised directly affect?
I think that people should consider giving to Mural Arts this Giving Tuesday, and I know that I'm biased, but I'm going to say why. Because we are a program where the impact is quite tangible. So if you donate to us, those dollars will make their way into our Porch Light program. It's for people facing housing insecurity, trauma, addiction. We work with new immigrant communities. The work really combats isolation and trauma in very concrete ways. We work with social workers, clinicians. We're not art therapists, but we partner to make the program really robust and meaningful. In restorative justice, we work with people who are behind bars and those who are coming home. We see potential everywhere, and we want people to see it in themselves. And the way they're going to do it is because programs like ours work with great intention and love and respect with our constituents. And so we're transforming recreation centers across the city. And as people change the built environment of our city, they themselves are changing. Art education, we serve over 2,000 young people, 11 to 18, with fabulous opportunities. And do you know, 60% of our teaching artists started out as kids in our program. So we create pathways, so it's an enduring experience. Dollars also make their way into the masterful works of public art that you see throughout the city. Philadelphia is an outdoor museum, but it is also a museum that has tremendous meaning and resonance with the citizens who live here. Part of our budget, a small portion, is from the city. A larger part we have to raise. We leverage dollars everywhere, we stretch them, we put your dollars to work. So anything that you can donate, give, any way you can support us, we will be so deeply grateful.
Well, I think one of the communities that Mural Art serves is the artist community. So giving artists a chance to, and new artists, we always say about bringing new artists and young artists through our art education program. So you think about what I was mentioning before about the whole idea of like the importance of the arts and envisioning a better future through the arts. You have to imagine it first before you can get there, and how vital that role is. Supporting Mural Art supports artists on many, many levels, from the kindergartner who's getting their first chance to do, to help paint a mural and be part of something much bigger than themselves, to the middle school students in the art ed program, and the high school students in the more advanced art ed stuff that we do, to the incarcerated men and women who get a chance to use their creative energy to try to make the world better. And of course, you know, many artists who are looking for a way to, again, not only express themselves, but express, you know, what it is that a community is really interested in. Getting the bigger picture of how we can connect. And that's a pretty good gift around Thanksgiving, if you think about it, because that's sort of what people do all over this country, all over the world really, but particularly in our country with our tradition. It's really about connecting and reconnecting, and so artists and art does that, and I think that's a great way of, you know, if you're inclined to be generous and give back, it's a great way to do it.